It began not with a threat, but with a promise, a vision of hope, belonging, and a better tomorrow. The Harmony Collective, later exposed as a manipulative cult, claimed to cure society's deepest anxieties. They offered a sanctuary from the chaos of modern life, a place where pain and uncertainty would be replaced by purpose and peace. They promised purpose, community, and spiritual enlightenment if you surrendered your savings and severed all outside ties. The cost was steep, but the promise was intoxicating. The purification protocol demanded total devotion and isolation, all for the benefit of their enigmatic leader, Julian Croft. Members were urged to cut off contact with friends and family to prove their loyalty. Croft's message preyed on the universal desire for belonging, drawing in doctors, teachers, artists, and students. People from all walks of life, searching for meaning, found themselves drawn to his magnetic presence. Newcomers were welcomed with overwhelming affection, love bombing that masked the group's true intentions. The warmth felt genuine, the acceptance unconditional. Demands for loyalty crept in, disguised as spiritual growth. Members were told that questioning the group was a sign of weakness, a barrier to enlightenment. To truly find yourself, you must first lose the self the world built for you, Croft would say. His words echoed through the commune, shaping every thought and action. Members shared their deepest fears, only to have them weaponized for control. Vulnerability became a tool for manipulation, not healing. The promise of peace required surrendering your identity, history, and relationships. Every connection to the outside world was seen as a threat to the group's unity. What felt like a safe harbor was, in truth, a carefully constructed trap, one that slowly closed in, leaving members isolated, dependent, and desperate for approval. The Harmony Collective's roots stretch back to the late 1990s, a time when rural America was quietly searching for new ways to connect and find purpose. In these small towns, people yearned for meaning beyond the ordinary rhythms of daily life. Julian Croft, then a self-help author with a growing following, began hosting intimate workshops in rural Oregon. He blended Eastern philosophy, environmentalism, and a promise of personal transformation, creating a unique blend that resonated with many. Croft's charisma and humble persona drew people in, making his later rise to power all the more insidious. Attendees felt seen and heard, believing they'd found a rare leader who truly understood them. What started as informal retreats among friends and seekers soon became a tightly controlled commune, as Croft's influence deepened and the group's numbers grew. In 2005, Croft purchased a remote tract of land in the Cascade Mountains, naming it Sanctuary. This marked a turning point, as the group shifted from loose gatherings to a permanent, isolated community. Followers left behind jobs, families, and their old lives, crossing a point of no return. The decision to join was often emotional, fueled by hope and a longing for belonging. At Sanctuary, Croft's role shifted dramatically, from peer to conduit, the sole voice of truth and authority. His word became law, and questioning him was unthinkable. His teachings became doctrine. Dissent was impossible. The group's daily life revolved around his instructions, and loyalty was demanded at every turn. The group's transformation was slow and methodical, radicalizing belief and loyalty over months and years. Outsiders barely noticed the changes, but inside, the shift was profound. What began as a quest for meaning and connection gradually became a closed, high-demand group, cut off from the outside world and its influences. The seeds of control were sown long before the compound's walls went up. The physical barriers only reflected the psychological ones already in place. The Harmony Collective's history is a warning. Radicalization can happen quietly, in plain sight, as ordinary people are drawn into extraordinary circumstances. Julian Croft's greatest weapon was his mask of benevolence. Outwardly, the Harmony Collective appeared idyllic, smiling members, organic produce, and stories of healing. This public image shielded the group from suspicion and drew in new recruits. Behind the scenes, Croft's aim was power and wealth, not spiritual liberation. He disguised commands as spiritual guidance, convincing members to surrender their possessions for the collective good. Croft alone controlled the finances. Surveillance was disguised as mutual accountability, creating paranoia and mistrust. The sense of community became a tool for control. Croft's feigned asceticism, simple clothes, communal meals, was a performance. Secretly, he lived lavishly, funded by the group's money. The humble guru was a mask. Beneath it was a manipulator exploiting faith. The Harmony Collective's kindness was a carefully staged illusion. The first to escape and speak out was Sarah Jenkins, a name that would soon become synonymous with courage and resilience. At just 21, Sarah arrived at the sanctuary, searching for meaning and a sense of belonging. She was drawn in by Croft's promises of community, hope, and a higher purpose, eager to embrace a new way of life. But as weeks passed, subtle cracks began to show. Sarah noticed Croft enjoying private meals and receiving special treatment, while others went without. The disparity between his words and actions planted the first seeds of doubt in her mind. The breaking point came during a harsh public shaming of Robert, an elderly member who was punished simply for reaching out to his daughter outside the commune. Sarah watched in horror as the community turned on one of their own, justifying cruelty as spiritual correction. The fear and pain in Robert's eyes haunted her. That night, unable to sleep and shaken to her core, Sarah made a life-altering decision. She would risk everything to escape. With no money, no phone, and no one to call for help, she slipped away under the cover of darkness. For 12 grueling hours, she navigated the dense forest, driven by fear and hope in equal measure. Exhausted and desperate, Sarah finally reached a police station at dawn. But her story, so unbelievable and strange, was met at first with skepticism and disbelief. Only when she bravely described the financial exploitation, the psychological manipulation, and the emotional abuse did a deputy begin to truly listen and take her seriously. Sarah's detailed testimony became the first crack in the collective's carefully constructed facade, exposing the truth behind the sanctuary's walls. Her courage set off ripples that would eventually reach others, inspiring more victims to come forward and share their own stories. Sometimes it only takes one voice to begin the unraveling of a powerful lie, and Sarah's was that voice. Croft's control relied on psychological manipulation, not force. Information was tightly controlled. No outside news, internet, or uncensored books. Sanctuary was the only reality. The outside world was painted as dangerous and corrupt. Members endured sleep deprivation and strict diets, weakening their resistance. Emotional dependency was fostered. All praise went to the group, all shame to the individual. Public shaming and shunning enforced conformity. Members' personal histories were rewritten in mandatory auditing sessions. Croft reframed their pasts as shameful, making devotion to him their only hope. Individual identity was erased, replaced by a group-approved narrative. The web of control was nearly inescapable. Sarah's escape didn't spark immediate action, but it planted seeds of doubt. A deputy began a quiet investigation, noticing the collective's members' hollow smiles and gaunt appearances at farmers' markets. Families of missing members connected online, piecing together timelines and sharing last letters. Their efforts, combined with Sarah's testimony, formed a disturbing picture. Journalist Mark Renner, initially seeking a feel-good story, sensed something was wrong during his visit to Sanctuary. He saw fear behind the smiles and deference to Croft. Renner's investigation uncovered financial records linking donations to Croft's offshore accounts. Sarah's on-the-record account gave the story credibility. The collective's public image crumbled as the truth emerged. Whispers became a roar. Exposure was inevitable. Speaking out against the Harmony Collective took immense courage. Sarah faced a smear campaign but persisted, inspiring others. David, a former Inner Circle member, provided proof of financial fraud, Maria, forced to give up her child, shared her harrowing story. Their testimonies, published by Renner, transformed public perception. The smiling farmers were now seen as victims. Speaking out was both an act of justice and a step toward healing. Their courage made it impossible for authorities to ignore the truth. Mark Renner's exposé triggered the downfall of the Harmony Collective. Public outrage forced law enforcement to act. Armed with evidence, investigators raided Sanctuary, finding a community in collapse. Members, malnourished and frightened, began to see through the lies. Croft had already fled, but was soon captured living under a false identity. His trial revealed him as a con man, not a guru. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The compound was shut down, and members faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives. Charities and specialists stepped in to help, but recovery was slow and painful. The story is a stark reminder of how easily faith can be manipulated. The search for utopia can lead to a living hell. The Harmony Collective's end was only the beginning of healing for its survivors. Years later, the shadow of the Harmony Collective endures. Croft's tactics are still used by manipulative groups today. The desire for belonging makes us vulnerable to exploitation. Education and critical thinking are our best defenses. Recognize the red flags: love bombing, information control, and demands for absolute loyalty. True community never requires you to abandon your mind or family. The heroes of this story were ordinary people who spoke the truth. Their courage reminds us to listen, question, and protect one another. Your vigilance is the best defense against the shadows.